Please note, the following podcast is presented for information and entertainment purposes only. We do not provide investment or legal advice. Welcome to Getting Real with Real Estate. From the Diamond Listing Team of Guardian Realty Center, your trusted advisor for real estate in Westchester and Putnam counties.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frank, and I represent the Diamond Listing Team of the Guardian Realty Center of Westchester and Putnam counties. During this podcast for Getting Real with Real Estate, we're going to provide you with some important information for you to consider using real estate as an investment. We'll discuss several tips for new landlords and landladies and what mistakes to avoid so that you can preserve that real estate investment and avoid some major headaches down the line that could lead to some major losses of money. In part one of our two-part series, we'll get into the various issues that can come up when you're dealing with tenants. So let's begin. Buying a home is probably the single biggest investment that someone will make during their lifetime. But whether that investment provides any attractive return all depends on what you plan to do with that home. Some owners will buy a home and later sell it at a higher price to realize a market gain. But other homeowners, however, purchase the home with the intention of generating income. And this is one of the best ways to build long-term wealth. In a multifamily dwelling, the homeowner has the option to actually live in the home. But regardless of whether he or she lives in the home or not, he or she is now faced with dealing with tenants, collecting rent, handling repairs, in short, the prospect of being a landlord. Now, the first and foremost rule to follow is that you should always treat your property as a business. What that means is that you should devote the time, effort, and resources required to ensure that your business provides you with reliable and profitable income. There are 5 important points to consider when dealing with tenants. Step 1. Assuming you don't already have tenants, you need to conduct a search to find ones that will pay their rent in full and on time. Now, you could use a variety of methods to find worthy tenants, including hiring a realtor to list your unit on the multiple listing service, that's MLS.com, or placing classified ads in print and online, posting ads on the community bulletin boards, using social media and word of mouth, and even setting up the old-fashioned for rent sign on the property. Step 2. Once you do find some prospective tenants, your next job is to make sure they are properly screened. This is going to require some effort on your part. You'll need to conduct a thorough background check, including credit history, employment history, current and past rental history, legal issues, and references. In many cases, you can collect all this information by using a written rental application that includes a waiver allowing you to conduct the background check on the tenant. There are a variety of sources online where you can pay to obtain this required information. But don't skimp. Failure to screen prospective tenants thoroughly can only lead to headaches down the line. Who wants to deal with missed rental payments, or your property getting damaged, or allowing undesirable friends or family to move in, degrading the value of your hard-earned investment? Worst case scenario, you unknowingly rent your property to a convicted sex offender without alerting the appropriate authorities beforehand. Make no mistake about it, conducting that thorough background check on tenants is mandatory, and it's time-consuming. But remember what we said before about treating your property as a business. For this reason, we suggest that when you first conduct your search for tenants, consider using a trusted and experienced realtor from the Diamond Listing Team of the Guardian Realty Center. They'll find you tenants and do all of the legwork of screening them. Now, in many cases, you may pay the realtor a commission, but consider this a wise investment in your income-producing property. Step 3. Assuming now that you have selected the right tenant, make sure that you put together a comprehensive rental agreement and not just a simple lease. Don't use a generic document that you download from the internet, otherwise you're going to be leaving out some important clauses and language that will protect you as the landlord, especially if they're required by the specific state where your rental property is located. For example, some states limit how much a landlord can charge for security deposits, or how many days late the rent can be before you can charge a late fee. Other states have special disclosures that must be attached to a rental agreement that involve the presence of any lead paint or asbestos. Plus, you're going to want to make sure that the rental agreement includes provisions that are important to you beyond what is required by the state. For example, you may want to specify the terms and conditions regarding pets or whether another person or roommate can move in, the basics about rent payment and tenant responsibilities, how you handle tenant complaints and repair problems, including damages by the tenant, or how much notice you must give to enter a tenant's apartment, and so on. Remember, a rental agreement is a binding legal contract. There should be no misinterpretation from what's allowed, what's not allowed, and what all the parties agree to. This is an agreement that clarifies both the tenant and landlord's expectations. Now, once that contract is signed, all parties must abide by it, and you will need to enforce the contract word for word. Unfortunately, many landlords don't put the emphasis on crafting a thorough and clear rental agreement that protects their investment. For that reason, we recommend that you use a certified online landlord form service to draft an agreement that complies with state regulations and includes those provisions that are important to you. Better yet, consider hiring an attorney to help you with the drafting of such an agreement. Step 4. Once you have the rental agreement signed by the tenant and in place, you'll need to handle the security deposit properly and comply with state laws. Now, this includes collecting, holding, and returning what the tenants pay you up front as that security deposit. It's a good idea to inspect and document the condition of your rental unit before the tenant moves in. Try including photographs of the rental unit as part of your rental agreement with the tenant. This will help you avoid disputes over security deposits, especially when the tenant is ready to move out of your unit. Step 5, and perhaps the most important step, make collecting rent in full and on time your number one priority. For example, consider collecting the rent electronically. Bill paying online has now become a more commonplace occurrence. Nowadays, there's really no reason for you to be collecting rent by a check in the mail. Not only is it time-consuming to go to your mailbox or P.O. box and then keep up with all the checks and then deposit the checks, but it also places more risk. The check can bounce, and then you'll need to pay fees for insufficient funds. The headache continues when you contact your tenant for the rent and the bank fee. So do yourself a favor. Conduct a Google search on collecting rent online to find several options available to you for making rent collection more seamless. Regardless of your relationship with the tenant, falling behind on rent is simply not an option. Now, patience may be a virtue, but your investment in real estate is a business, and too often landlords don't treat their interactions with tenants as business transactions. Emotions often get involved. Either the landlord allows payments to slip on occasion, or on the other end of the spectrum, the landlord is banging on the door in anger or starting a verbal fight over missed payments. The better approach is to simply stick to the contract. Assess your tenant's situation. Determine if their reasons for not paying rent on time are valid. Serve the tenants with a violations notice quickly when their rent is not paid. Now, while it's necessary to be stern with late-paying tenants, it's also a good idea to work with people who generally need help especially if they communicate that they're willing to work with you. But if your tenant simply stops paying rent and ignores your calls or texts, then you need to start eviction proceedings. Otherwise, you risk having your investment in real estate become a liability instead of an asset. So let's review those 5 tips that landlords or landladies should follow when dealing with tenants. Step 1. Find prospective tenants who can pay rent in full and on time. Step 2. Screen your prospective tenants thoroughly to weed out any future problems that can develop. Step 3. Create a comprehensive and clear rental agreement to protect your investment. Step 4. Handle the security deposit properly. And Step 5. Make collecting rent in full and on time your number 1 priority. Although there are many more issues that landlords can face when dealing with tenants, we feel that these 5 steps are the core to ensuring that your real estate investment remains a sound, profitable business venture. In future segments of Getting Real with Real Estate, we'll discuss how you should handle and maintain your property as an investment. Plus, we'll discuss some market trends and statistics pertaining to homes in Westchester and Putnam counties.
Thank you for listening to our podcast today. We hope we have provided you with some useful tips and information. On behalf of Joanne Perna, licensed real estate broker, from the Diamond Listing Team of Guardian Realty Center, your trusted real estate advisor in Westchester and Putnam counties, please join us next time so that you can get real with real estate.